Restaurant owners.
The highlight of the event was the selection of the Executive of the Year.
Now, you've been a president of a small...
විපක්ෂයේ භූමිකාව ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
In a rare move, what's happening around the world and what's happening here at home. A very good evening to you and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Before we get into your stories in detail, let's take a quick look at your headlines for tonight. Restaurant owners also gear up to increase food prices. Bakery owners say no price change will be made. UNP ministers propose election for party leadership. 16 government defectors lay out their future plan. All set for Sirosa Union Assurance Vesak Zone. Processions carrying sacred relics to reach Vesak Zone tomorrow. The 41st annual convention of the Capital Maharaj organization took place last evening at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana.
The highlight of the event was the selection of the Executive of the Year. The nominees for this year were Kamal Kumara of PE+, K. Chamantraj of Global Shakti TV, Sanat Chaminder of Eslon, Ramzi Kasim of Yes FM, and Shamir Rasuldeen of AF Jones. The winner was announced by Joint Managing Director Sashi Rajamahendran and Group Director Pradeep Maharaja. It was channel head of Yes FM Ramzi Kasim who clinched the coveted Executive of the Year award.
The winner of the Executive of the Year is Ramzi Kasim.
I'm earnestly grateful for the recognition I have received for my work, because I'm very sure that every other nominee deserves of winning this award as much as me. Winning this award would not have been possible without the inspiration I have received from my seniors and my colleagues. I sincerely thank each and every one of you for helping me reach the stage where I can proudly hold this award as a mark of my team's and my achievement.
This year's convention theme was Act to Win. Many distinguished guests, including the diplomatic corps, politicians, bankers, professionals, and of course, the over 1,000 executives of the Maharaj organization were part of the group's landmark event. Group Director Srilal Ahangama delivered the chairman's address.
The clear message that I want to give everyone in the group this year is that we should not linger and procrastinate. Because if we do, by blaming the surroundings and the business environment, all the efforts that have been put in by our founders and the next generation will be in vain, and we won't continue to be the leaders that we are. We have to regroup, innovate, think afresh, and take action to move forward and be prepared to enter the unknown. We are investing heavily into newer areas and making a paradigm shift to strengthen our group. To the Maharaja executives, whom I'm very proud of, I can only say, remember, business is war, and we cannot linger. But with prompt action, coordinated as a team, and executed well, we can only be winners. Get back that ruthless winning mindset and act to win.
The Achievers Awards that recognize extraordinary performance and potential saw 5 winners being featured.
And with over 25 years' experience in electronic media, both radio and television, we are well poised to meet growing consumer interest and dominate these new spaces that are being created. For Dharma Yudhya was produced by MTV at Stein Studios, distributed by M Entertainment, and promoted on Sirsa TV and TV1. More importantly, it resulted in 210 million rupees at the box office and 100 days in 70 cinemas covering 1 million patrons. And in October this year, we will be releasing Udumbara, introducing Nadishani Henderson, a 200-meter athlete, in a movie about a girl from a shanty town who aspires to be in the Olympics.
The chief guest of the event was former President of the Maldivian Republic, Mohammad Nasheed.
The chairman of this group, the Maharaja Group, is obviously in business, not just for business. Our admiration for the group have plenty of reasons. I am a former prisoner of conscience, and the defense of free speech and multicultural society I must mention as my reasons, Mr. Chairman. It is now clear that solar and battery hybrid systems will produce electricity cheaper than diesel on any given situation. When batteries follow solar panels fall in price, then distributed energy systems could be transformative. This will be hugely relevant, especially for developing countries that don't have big electricity grids. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just energy production. There are more sustainable and economically feasible methods in almost every area: housing, transport, leisure, and for every type of climate adaptation. We must come up with a low-carbon development manifesto. A manifesto that will make realistic and economically viable pledges to our people. Mr. Chairman, we must fight. There is no planet B, and there is no option B or plan B.
Following his address, the former president spoke candidly on what motivates him to keep fighting on.
Well, standing here, especially with these colleagues, the executives of the Maharaja Group and the family, it's fairly easy to say it. Never give up. Never, never, ever give up hope. And you can win it. You can always fight against the odds, and you can win it.
Former Maldivian Republic President Mohammad Nasheed commented on the present global political situation and his comeback as president.
Now, you've been a president of a small nation, just like Sri Lanka. And I'm sure you've grappled with regional powers, massively influential nations. How did you do it?
Well, me becoming a president, I think, was an accident in history. But I could see where you are getting at. We have, in my view, a very serious issue that faces a number of countries. That is what we are now calling land grab. The first, the prescription seems to be the same. The first step is change state type. Get hold of an autocratic fellow, back him in power, change state type, and get unsolicited contracts. Increase the price of these contracts, and then build them through build, operation, and transfer. You would be bringing your money, but you would have to pay it back. The prices are so increased that it is made sure that we can't pay it back. So you go into your classical debt trap, and when you cannot pay your debt, they ask for equity. And in the process, you give up, you relinquish your sovereignty. This is happening in the Maldives, and I am aware of what is happening in the Maldives, and I will keep on talking about this, and I am talking about China.
President Nasheed, do you have designs to be president again?
Well, yes, we have presidential elections coming up this September. As usual, I am unable to yet contest, but this goes on until the 11th hour, and when then finally they will say that I can contest. And I hope to win it again. I think it is very important that I do contest, and I am going to contest and hopefully win it again.
The All Island Restaurant Owners Association announced today that it would increase the prices of food it sells at restaurants following the increase in the price of a domestic gas cylinder.
A 12.5 kilogram domestic gas cylinder was priced at 2,430 rupees when the incumbent government came into power in 2015. The government on many occasions tried to reduce the prices of gas, and by October 2017, the price of a 12.5 kilogram gas cylinder was 1,321 rupees. Following a decision made by the government in October 2017, the price of a 12.5 kilogram gas cylinder was increased by 110 rupees, which brought it to 1,431 rupees. With the latest increase in the price of a domestic gas cylinder by 245 rupees as of midnight yesterday, the price of a 12.5 kilogram gas cylinder now stands at 1,676 rupees. Inflation has risen by 7%. This is a rapid increase. It is difficult for the people to bear. And on top of that, increasing gas prices is a massive burden being thrown onto the people. As a government, we have to be nationalistic. When we force to increase certain prices which are caused by rising prices in the world market do not hit out at us. Despite the prices we have increased, they are still below what is due in the Rajapaksa government. In the future, we will reduce them just as we discussed them. But please note, previous governments only increased prices, they never reduced them. Meanwhile, the implications of the failing economy on businesses was highlighted at the annual convention of the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited.
2 years of drought, weak governance, indecisive fiscal policies, mismanagement of finances, and proven corruption has brought the country to a situation where the GDP growth last year, as stated by the World Bank, was only 3.1%, from about 5% 3 years ago. Add to this, the weakening rupee and high oil prices have created a difficult situation for us in business. And the rising inflation has devastated the vast majority of people, as we have seen through our Newsfirst outreach programs. No immediate relief seems to be in sight. The hope that businesses and citizens had with the arrival of a new administration in 2015 has been dashed through both the lack of conviction on the part of the administration and several incidents of corruption at the highest level.
The chairman's message also highlighted the IMF involvement in the Sri Lankan economy.
Having known and seen other countries, especially small countries, where the IMF have given a one-size-fits-all prescription, which is stifling and restrictive, as well as at times encroaching on their sovereignty, the government should have known better than to have committed themselves to the IMF by borrowing money from them. The IMF is now having its own way, which is not necessarily the most ideally suited for the people of our country. We should have initially generated the necessary funds by divesting some of the state-owned enterprises, which would have got us comfortably through the first year, and thereafter we would have been able to go beyond the IMF to ADB, AIIB, etc., to fund specific projects and negotiate terms from a position of greater strength.
All those who looted public funds are in the open. Some are even given deputy leader positions. They have failed to bring back Arjuna Mahendran. They looted the wealth of the nation. Yet, they have now increased the price of gas by 245 rupees and burdened the people. They use the tax paid by the innocent for their own pleasure and overseas travel. They are wasting money on festivities and cutouts. Cut down those expenses and bring down the price of gas. We raised the prices of food items to raise awareness among the people. Food items at all eateries will be increased by 10 rupees from today. A hopper will be increased by 2 rupees. We request restaurant owners to cover the cost of 245 rupees as they please.
Unfortunately, from the time the new government came in, our country has been plagued with big scandals like the bond scam, the central highway built at astronomical cost, and many other cases of corruption at the highest level, culminating in the recent no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister. This has left the Yahapalaniya government in shambles and added to the unsteady economic environment. Further, with Parliament being prorogued, the public and private sector and even the Parliament are waiting with no idea of what would happen next and where the economy was heading, which among other things severely affected our currency.
The Bakery Owners Association has not reached a decision yet on increasing prices. However, this is unbearable. We need to be given concessions so we can cover the losses from the increased gas price. We request the government and all factions to form a certain policy on the matter.
වැඩිචෙක් ගැන ඉතින් කියන්නද කාටද කියන්නේ කියන්න දෙයක් නැහැ ඉතින් මිනිස්සු අමාරු වැටෙන වැඩ තමයි මුන් කරන්නේ මුණ්ඩ ඉතින් මේක කරගන්න බැරි නා මෙතන කෝටි ගණන් දීලා වාහන ගේනවා ගෑස් එක ඉතින් දුප්පත් මිනිහාගේකට තමයි මේවා කරන්නේ
අපෝ කතා කරන්න එපා ඔය ගහලා එලවන්න ඕනේ ආණ්ඩුව ඔක්කොටම මිසින් ගෑස් මිල වැඩි වෙනවා විතරක් නෙමෙයි දැන් හිතන්න දැනනකොට කිරිපිටිත් වැඩි වෙනවා
සාමාන්‍ය මනුස්සයෙක් කිසිම සාහනයක් නැහැ
මොනවා කරන්නද ජීවත් වෙන්නත් එපා.
We are just a few hours away from Vesak Poya Day. Preparations are underway for the Sirasa Union Assurance Vesak Zone to mark the Vesak Poya Day. Now, the procession carrying the sacred relics of Lord Buddha reached Colombo today for its exposition at the Vesak Zone. The Sandagiri Sarvanya relics are being brought to the Sirasa Union Assurance Vesak Zone from the Samaharama Rajama Viharya. The procession carrying the sacred relics began its journey today from the Gane Gamaran Ket Rajama Viharya in Palmadulla and is set to reach the Homagama Rajama Viharya. The procession carrying the Arahat Mahinda relics, which are being brought from the Mihintale Mihinda Saya, began its journey this morning for its third day from the Divulopitya Kudagam Mana Sri Sudarshana Chaitya Rama Viharya. Floral tributes were made from the air when the procession carrying the sacred relics was passing through the Kadavata town. This was organized by the Kadavata Joint Traders Union. The procession carrying the Arahat Mahinda relics are scheduled to reach the Kalani Rajama Viharya today. The Sarvanya relics, which were placed at the Gaul Paramananda Viharya, was brought to Colombo aboard the Suraksha vessel. Upon reaching the Colombo port, the sacred relics were taken on a vehicular procession to the Navy headquarters.
Later in the evening, the sacred relics were brought to the Ganga Rama Viharaya. We believe the leadership should also be appointed through an election, and it should happen during the same election to choose the deputy leader and assistant leader. But that hasn't happened as yet. No, it is a restructure. The question is this a restructure which is accepted by the people? It isn't just me who believes a party leader should only be appointed through an election. A majority of the UNP MPs also feel the same. All UNPers in the country are hoping for this restructural process to be completed. But this has only been a partial restructure.
Meanwhile, Minister Akhila Viraj Karyavasan, who was appointed as the UNP's new General Secretary, paid homage to the Temple of Sacred Truth Relic today. Thereafter, the minister called on the chief prelate of the Ramanya sect, Most Venerable Napana Premasiri Thera, as well as the chief prelates of the Malmatu and Askiri chapters.
A new era has to be created. I remember when J.R. Jayawardena took over the party, there was a group who were next in line. So something similar is needed for the country's future.
The minister thereafter spoke to the media.
The changes in the party are made by the MPs who were elected by hundreds of thousands of voters in this country, as well as the working committee. When the leader asked for any proposals on the leadership when both these groups were convened, no one came forward. So I don't think anyone else should be worried about it. The UNP will field its own candidate, and that is Ranil Wickramasinghe. It has been nearly 25 years for the current leadership. We have to think back and wonder, during these 25 years, how long have we been in power for? I think we have governed for just 5 years. A presidential election is due at the end of 2019. Then there is a general election in 2020. So it should be the responsibility of this board to form a UNP government. Nevertheless, the grassroots level members had called for a complete restructure, and that did not happen. We are especially disappointed that the decision has been taken to hold just a meeting instead of a massive rally on May Day while being in power.
What is the future plan of the 16 SLFP members who defected from the government? Parliamentarian Shandima Virakodi made clarifications at a media briefing today. We have begun the role of the opposition. A quarter of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and a quarter of the United People's Freedom Alliance are seated in the opposition now. There are only a few left, but they too would join us soon. Apart from a few who are connected to the United National Party and their underhand dealings, the rest will join us. It is not just the SLFP MPs, but the UNP MPs will also join us to create a progressive government free of Ranil Wickramasinghe. These signs have emerged with the conclusion of the restructure process. We will tell you that in due course. I'm not Sumanadasa. I will do it on time. Be ready when I do. As the group of 16, we will be opening an office in Colombo. Give us your ideas and proposals to build this country. We are talking about investors. When I was petroleum minister, there was an $18 million investment to construct a factory here. This was a massive investment, which is a massive profit for the Petroleum Corporation. This was completed in December. It was approved by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Management and the Public Utilities Commission. It only requires the signature of the chairman of the CPC, but he isn't signing it. So will investors come to Sri Lanka? There is no program. We will begin the initial measures for a government. Several ministers expressed their views regarding the cabinet reshuffle that is scheduled to take place in the days ahead.
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ ඉන්දෙද්දි කරපු විනය විරෝධී වැඩ
No, those are disciplinary issues he had when being part of the UNP, and we did not approve of these. If he is given a ministry, I will not approve it. During his tenure, all he had was underhand dealings. He did not work to strengthen the government. Therefore, those who bring him back to a ministry will make accusations against him during a crisis.
ලබන සතිය වෙනකොට ජනාධිපතිතුමා සකස් කරන කැබිනට් මණ්ඩල සංශෝධනය සමහර වෙලාවට කට්ටියගේ හිත හොඳ වේ. තව කට්ටියගේ හිත හොඳ නැති වේ.
During the next cabinet reshuffle by the president, some will feel good while some may feel bad about it. But regardless who feels good or bad, we believe that person would think about the good of the country. During this government, Ministry of Highways and Education were together. This did not work well. The Ministry of Culture is in several areas, and so is the sugar industry. The government before was also like this. I remember during the time of a UNP government, there was a Minister for Marriages. However, I believe the President will form a cabinet in a scientific manner.
විද්‍යාත්මකානුකූල ක්‍රමයක් යටතේ අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලයක් පත් කිරීමේ කටයුත්ත එතුමා සිදු කරයි.
The General Secretary shared his views regarding the new agreements made between the UNP and the SLFP.
අපි ගිවිසුමක් අත්සන් කිරීම සම්බන්ධව මේ දවස්වල කතා බහක් යනවා.
There are ongoing talks to sign an agreement. It's true that we should not run the government as we did in the past. We need to rectify this. To take this government forward, we need to come to an agreement and make necessary arrangements to not repeat those mistakes.
The foundation stone for the 700th model village under the Samata 7 model village project was placed today.
The village, which will be constructed in Jul Pallama, Tissamaharama, will be named Sinapati James Peavis Village. The village construction is funded by India and is dedicated for artists. The village will comprise of 24 houses. The late Vanasinghe Premadasa rendered a great service towards arts in Sri Lanka. He did not anticipate votes from the artists. Today I am pleased to announce that under the Udagammana concept village, we will be constructing 25 Udagammana villages across all 25 districts.
And that's all the news for tonight. Join us again tomorrow with the very latest news. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Sandru Ferdinando. Do take care and good night.